Good to have on the show. But before we get started, this right here is a special shout out to one of two of my mentors, and someone that was actually on the show. They just recently lost their great grandmother, Dorothy E. Baker, Dorothy Lee Baker. She died at 88 years old. We laid her to rest yesterday. She was a great woman in the community. You could walk into her house. It was like, man, you was like family. I knew her since I was 14 years old. So she was like a great grandmother to me. Like she knew me from way. I want to do a special shout out to her and let her rest in peace. And let her rest in peace and power. So that being said, Jordan, go ahead, take over.
Hey y'all, thank you for tuning in to Chaos Culture Radio. This is your boy New Jordan Era.
This is your man Ronnie Ron.
Prince Hakeem.
And we have a special guest. Special guest. She is a future lawyer in the making, and she is one of the first ladies of the Lo-Fi hip hop thought, and she goes by Sound. And please let me introduce you guys to Santi. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming.
We appreciate you so much, Queen.
Yes,
I ain't gonna lie, she got me kind of nervous. I don't know why I'm so nervous. Probably because I'm looking at her eyes too much. Let me stop.
I get that every time I interview too. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah. So go ahead, Santi. Tell us about yourself.
Where you from originally?
Yes. I'm originally from Boston, Massachusetts.
What?
Yes, sir.
You from where?
Boston, Massachusetts.
What part of the bean you from?
Dorchester.
Where in Dorchester? Bowdoin, Geneva?
Not Bowdoin, Geneva. Let me find out.
American Way?
Okay.
Brooklyn? Wait.
That knows me, that's watching, they're like, she's capping. So
listen. I'm from Cambridge, Crown Bridge for life.
Oh, you're from Cambridge.
I'm from Cambridge, Washington on Friday. Yeah, we're from the other side. Okay. You from Suffolk County? You from Suffolk County?
Yes, Suffolk County.
Oh, you got a Bostonian in here?
I thought that was it. I got quiet.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Oh, excuse. Okay, my bad, Queen. Go ahead. Excuse me. Come on.
I'm originally from Boston, Mass. I am alumni of Regis College and law school. I'm an alumni of Southern University in Louisiana, but I just got accepted as a transfer student to Loyola Law School in Los Angeles.
So, quick question: what made you get into law school? Because law school is a very difficult profession. A lot of people don't go that far because it's a lot of heartache and a lot of headache to understand the law. So, what made you get into law school?
Law school for me was mainly about forming a union between my two passions, so music and law. And so to be an advocate for people in our community in the music space is important because of all the weight our music holds. So that's what kind of made me get interested in law.
Let me ask you a question. Are you Boricua or Dominican?
No, I'm Black American. I'm blickety black.
Okay, because before we interview, I go through people's pages. I seen there was a Puerto Rican flag in one of your pictures.
Was there a Puerto Rican flag in
there was a Puerto Rican flag, and I was like, is she Boricua?
No.
She could be Maryland though.
Maybe I was at a Puerto Rican festival or one of my Puerto Rican friends.
No. You was on your laptop.
Uh-huh.
I think, and you had somebody on the side next to you. I don't know if you was doing like an interview or something, but it was
an interview. It was actually this right behind me.
So no.
Oh, okay.
It was something else, but it was another flag off to the side.
Okay. So
you was in Boston.
My set designer, shout out to Kia, she's Puerto Rican, so she's up there, split that in there.
Okay, so let me ask. So since you're from the Bean,
mm-hmm.
Where did your love for hip hop come from?
My love for hip hop from my older sisters, my father. My relationship with my father is really where my love for music comes from.
Mm-hmm.
He more so put me onto soul music, like music, Soul Child, Jaheim, that type of music. But just listening to my older sisters play hip hop music, and they'll tell you from a young age, I was always remembering raps and repeating them back and writing my own little raps. So I feel like it's heavily embedded in our community. So just naturally, I fell in love with it.
Okay, cool. Do you know when you get into after you've done with law school? Do you know what type of law you want to go to, or you still trying to figure that out?
So entertainment law, and I'm leading towards the transactional side. So not really going to court and representing entertainers to dispute legal battles, but kind of setting them up with record labels or something else that I just found out that an entertainment lawyer is responsible for is connecting their artists with different, let's say I represent a producer, connecting him with the people that want to buy his beats and things like that. I want to stay in the creative realm as much as possible.
Okay, so like you said, you're doing music and lawyer and combining together with entertainment law. Yeah. So what is going to be like one of your biggest challenges to face when you get into that practice?
Say that one more time.
What will be your biggest challenges you will face when you start doing that practice as an entertainment lawyer?
I think for me, especially right now, is getting that experience. You have to be mentored by somebody that is, not new to the game. So I think getting that experience for me right now, maybe with someone who has an independent practice, I don't want to go in-house with the label. I feel like the labels are sort of the enemy sometimes. So I want to be the ones protecting clients. So I think getting experience with someone who has their own private entertainment practice.
I want to ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
I've been on your website.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. And I see, love it. Love the exterior of it. Love how you present it. But there's also something that I noticed that it kind of dive into where that tells me something about you. Mm-hmm. I see you heavily focused on indie artists, which I love. So I'll come to me and explain to me how that come about, your focus on independent artists and stuff like that. And dive in. And my second question is, where is the need to want to help indie artists come from?
Okay. So to answer your first question, me getting into indie music, I got tired of just mainstream music. I'm heavily into battle rap. I did a battle of my own my freshman year in college. I battled a senior. It was a really great battle. I can share the link with you guys after this, but I'm heavily into the underground sound. I love Dipset, all the underground mixtapes that used to come out back in the day. So it's more for me about exposing that. I feel like we don't really have a big underground scene anymore. Well, we have an underground scene, but there's not heavy attention on it. So for me, it's exposing, especially Boston artists, to the rest of the world. So Boston we have a lot of great artists, but the only artists people know from Boston are Cousin Sis, Bia. Some people don't even know Bia's from Boston.
No, she's from Medford.
Oh, she's from Medford. You know.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
I know you know what you're talking about.
Listen, Nice Franklin. Do I need to keep going?
Yes. And I like Franklin too. So yeah, she's from Medford. But primarily if you're from Mass, they're gonna say they're from Boston, except for artists like Millie's. Me and Millie's got into it one day because I call him a Boston artist. He's from Cambridge. I know him. Yes. So it's about exposing these artists to a larger audience, because I feel like Boston gets really boxed in. A lot of people don't know. People ask me if there are Black people in Boston all the time. I'm like, are you kidding me? There's a heavy Black community. So that's what it is in terms of me connecting with the independent community and focusing on that. And as far as, what was your second part of that question?
My second part is the question. You kind of answered like where the need to want to help artists. Because here's the thing. I used to be an underground artist. I used to be an artist in Boston. I used to be an underground artist.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You ever heard of Latia LaRock?
Latia LaRock.
You ever heard of Dre Robinson?
Okay.
Dre Robinson. This might be a little bit before your time. So I'm older than you.
Maybe, but I know a lot of people in the scene.
You ever heard of Russia?
Russian?
You ever heard of Perfect Gentleman?
Nah, see, yeah,
You see, it's a little bit of you probably heard of Edo G, Slain, you know what I mean, stuff like that. And you said something that I've experienced being in Boston as an independent artist. There was never no outlet.
Right.
Never no outlet because New York has always overshadowed us. And that's the gift and the curse.
Exactly.
That comes to, and even Cousin Stiz, he hasn't even got the way he wants to because he's out there where you at in California.
Mm-hmm.
And let's not forget Michael Christmas.
Michael Christmas.
Let's not forget my boy. I love that dude.
Mm-hmm.
I love him. I never met nobody so humble, so giving. I met him on a bus. Mind you, and he was already, I think he had just got off tour with our fallen soldier. You know who we talking about?
Who?
The white boy from Pittsburgh. I forgot his name. Had a, you know Michael. Peep? No, not Lil Peep. What's the other white boy who got a drug overdose in California?
Not Mac Miller.
Mac Miller, yeah. You know Michael Christmas went on tour with him.
No, okay.
Michael Christmas went on tour with him. Now, this is after Michael Christmas got off tour with him. You know, this is at the highlight, and you know, this is him performing at damn, I forgot what that club is on Mass Ave where everybody go perform at. You know what I'm talking about? The Middle East. Mm-hmm. So this is at the height of this. Humble dude. Even him, he hasn't got the exposure. So to hear you say that reflects to what I went through and how a lot of us stopped doing music anymore. A lot of the old timers don't do music anymore. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You got the young dudes who are doing music, so it's good to hear that you want to create an outlet like that.
Exactly, and in Boston, I'm sure you're familiar. I'm not sure how far removed you are from being there, but even when you tap into the creative scene, there's a lot of gatekeepers in Boston who are
Leeds Entertainment.
Yes.
Leeds Entertainment. Listen. Leeds Entertainment, SMD, nigga. SMD.
So yeah, a lot of people feel that way about Leeds. I'll keep my comments to myself.
Listen, SMD, he know how I get down.
I don't know about the beef there, but in terms of, I mean, there are a bunch of events that were held in creative warehouses in Boston that were supposed to be, you know, to promote artists and all these the owners of these events and the curators. It's for monetary gain for them, and I get that you want to make money, but it should be about the exposure of the artists and the people that are able to tap into that fan base and get more exposure. They don't want to do features and things like that to help other people, to help cross-pollinate their audiences. So for me, it's about giving exposure to the little people in Boston who have great music. I've interviewed some amazing artists that just don't have a fan base.
What is the reason you think they don't have any fan base?
Why do I think they don't have a fan base?
Yes.
So, I mean, just a lack of not knowing how to market themselves. So for one thing, I think with my interviews, asking people questions about how they've cultivated their own fan base, it gives people ideas about how to increase their fan base and how to market themselves and brand themselves. So I think it's a combination of not marketing well, not branding, not staying fresh on social media. Some people get discouraged when they're not getting a lot of likes. The algorithm is going to boost you as long as you're posting and you're on there and you're active. So it's giving them that knowledge.
Let me ask you a question. You already starting something with low hip hop. That's a platform you're building right now, in which I love it.
Let me interject for a second because a lot of people are unclear about what the name is. So it's lo-fi hip hop.
Oh, lo-fi. I say low hip hop. Lo-fi hip hop. So here's the thing. How do you differentiate yourself from all the other competitors who are trying to put out indie artists? And you know what I mean, and how you navigate through these spaces?
So for me, it was important. So you can't do anything without a budget. But I was someone who was essentially a starving artist when I started this. I started this right out of undergrad. I didn't have any money. I was grateful enough to have people in my life supply me with microphones and interfaces and things of that nature. People gave me spaces for free. So from that, I was thinking, at first we were called the Collective Radio because I wanted it to be a collective effort. So I'll bring the radio together. However, after going through phase one of having my radio station independently, we really operated with anything we had. So the idea of lo-fi is just with anything you make things happen with anything that you have. So the lo-fi music, for example, they might be making music on GarageBand. So all they got is a MacBook and GarageBand. So lo-fi for me, in our niche is really that we make do with what we have. We don't have all this expensive equipment, but we put together a great show. We have people that volunteer their time and that give their creative effort in whatever field matches their skills.
Okay.
Do you see the question on the screen? Somebody asked you.
What underground rappers I'm tuned into right now? They're more mainstream right now, but I love Griselda, Benny the Butcher.
I see you. Listen, I see you got a picture with him. We love.
Yes, I love. Anytime Benny comes to LA, I'm there. I seen Benny every time he was in Boston working at the Middle East. I got to go to the shows for free, but I love Benny the Butcher, Flea Lord.
What you know about that, man?
Listen, I'm a fan of boom bap rap. I love me some. A lot of people know him, Jay Electronica. I recently watched the Jay Electronica show, and you know him, he didn't show up.
Yeah, he'll never show up, yeah.
But yeah, those are some of my favorite underground artists.
Okay, cool,
nice.
cool. I have a question for you.
Yep.
For all the stuff that you're doing, I want to know who are your big supporters. It could be family, friends, it could be whatever.
My major supporters, for one, my partner, Brandon. He's a DJ full of vibes. Shout out to him.
He's in the comments. Shout out to Brandon Fuller.
Shout out to you, Brandon.
Shout out to you, Brandon.
He's in the comments. Yeah,
Brandon Fuller.
He's one of my biggest supporters, and yeah, I couldn't ask for a better partner. My sister, my oldest sister, Shania, she is one of my biggest advocates, one of my biggest fans. My roommate, best friend, and my best friend Alicia in Boston. And these are people that throughout the years, they have volunteered their time and dedicated themselves to my brand. So they're always supportive of me no matter what. Even when I don't believe in myself, I need that sometimes. I need someone to pick my crown up sometimes.
Nice.
So, yeah.
How was your transition from leaving Boston to come to California?
Woo! So as I was coming from Boston to Cali, I was still enrolled virtually in law school in Louisiana. So that was a bit of a rush transition, but I moved in between semesters. So it wasn't too bad with that, but I prepared a lot. I saved a lot of money to come out here. And I did it that way so that I wouldn't have to work if I didn't need to. So I started working for one of the biggest cannabis brands out here, Squeezy, when I moved out here. And for someone who is in law school, has an undergraduate degree, has all this legal experience, has a business of their own, I feel like they weren't valuing me. They were boxing me in and just holding me to all these different, like, little minuscule constraints. So I left that job. And I just explored for about 6 months. I didn't work. I lived off my savings. I had a little bit of income coming in from side gigs, but for me, it was important to see the entertainment scene out here, see how things operate. And I think the most difficult thing for me is the lack of urgency out here. In Boston, there's a heavy amount of urgency, especially working at law firms or even working at music venues. It's a heavy amount of urgency. So working at the firm that I work at now and just having experience with people out here, nobody takes anything that serious. It's always, oh, we'll get to it, or there's time, but we got these statutes coming up on cases and things like that. So that's been my biggest struggle.
How did the pandemic affect your career?
In terms of my legal career, it didn't really have that much of an effect. In Boston, we went completely remote for a little bit, and then we came back into the office. They didn't care about the COVID restrictions coming into the office in Boston. But being out here, or not being out here, but in terms of the radio, it really put a pause on radio for me because all my interviews were in person, and I like doing in-person events and being personable. So it really put a pause on radio. I really think I haven't picked up my interviews since, to keep it real. And that also has to do with my transition to LA and not having the network that I had in Boston.
What has LA taught you here that Boston haven't really taught you? Because I know, LA here, me and you live in LA, it's a little bit different.
I'll get to John for 1 second, but in LA, the thing that it's taught me is politics. In Boston, I mean, you're politicking in the office and whatnot, but it's heavy here. It's very, very heavy. At the law firm I'm at right now, I can't call it with people sometimes. I'm like, she in my face, she's smiling, but I know she's acting different behind closed doors. So I think it's the way to navigate politics in the business world, for sure. And then for John, yes, I do recommend SoundCloud for new artists. It's a free service for you. I do think that new artists should get familiar with DistroKid and getting their music out to multiple platforms at once and doing one release for sure. And then that I believe DistroKid also helps with syncing. I think a lot of new artists need to get into syncing because the mainstream music, I mean, it's going to be on some commercials, this, and that. But I mean, you can have your music on shows like Euphoria, things that are geared towards the same audience as you. I think syncing is a major thing new artists need to tap into.
I want to piggyback off of Jordan's question. Now, being in LA, understanding the politics, and I want to refer this to a music question. Do you see things there that they implement could be implemented in Boston? Because LA is its own animal in its own, which a lot of the rappers there are very lazy because everything is given to them because they don't have to do much to get 10, 20,000 records sold there because it's its own animal. So what do you think, compare and contrast, what you could take from there, what you've learned from there that could be implemented on to try to help Boston artists?
I think more events for sure. I think that, like I said earlier, the creative scene in Boston is heavily gatekept, and we have to do more events. Not for monetary gain, but for exposure. A lot of artists in Boston, you don't want to pay to play, but I mean, you got to do a couple free shows and you have to get on these big ticket events. Other than that, I really, in terms of the business side and the marketing, I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to get in those spaces where I can learn those things and make it way and give to Boston artists right now. So,
hey, go ahead, because I got a doozy one for you.
This one right here. This one right here is actually what's going on right now. I think you're aware of what's going on with Young Thug, correct?
With his
Are you aware of what's going on? Yes. Right now, the Supreme Court not the Supreme Court, but Congress just recently passed a bill where they're saying that no longer the courts can use any rap lyrics against any criminal cases. I want you to talk about that, so people can be aware of the new law that was passed. A new bill that was
good. That's a good question.
So I think that law is important. It's pivotal for the music community because look at people like Bobby Shmurda rapping exactly what about a murder, like everything that happened in that murder. They had a case like that in Boston. Anybody that's in the chat in Boston, I think it was 7981 Cal and his whole crew. They got picked up on racketeering charges, RICO charges. So I think it's important for us to have protection of our music for freedom of expression. And I mean, it's an art. You're not going to have a painting and say, okay, well, this is indicative of a crime that was committed. I mean, maybe that may be so. I think in relation to this, Where the Crawdads Sing, I don't know if you guys have heard of the book or the movie that recently came out. The artist got arrested when that book came out because they said some of the facts in the book resembled a murder that she was questioned about in Africa. So
wow.
And I think it's important for art to be protected. Honestly, if you're going to catch somebody, you need to catch them with physical evidence. The art piece, that may be their repentance for whatever crime they did, and they're just expressing through that, and that's their only outlet. So I think it's important for art to be protected in any form.
But isn't that a form of evidence because they are saying it out of their mouth? Like, look, I went down the street and I murdered 5 guys, and that is physical evidence.
Right. Yes. I mean, before, or I'm not sure if that law's been passed yet. I want to look into that. Thank you for mentioning it. But prior to this, yes, all that's admissible. I think Kodak and some of Kodak's cases, they use lyrics against him as well. So yeah,
Correct. Yes.
That's super important, and it's gonna force the prosecutor to do real work.
Let them, how we say it down south, let them crackers work for their money.
Period.
Basically, we're not going to get nobody nothing. But I do want to ask something that's real tough because this is something that I want a lot. This next answer is for the ladies. Okay. And you're going to answer this for the ladies.
Okay, ladies.
How does it feel navigating yourself as a black woman in these male-dominated spaces?
Male-dominated spaces. So in terms of legal work?
Yeah. I want you to talk about legal work and hip-hop. Because you know what I mean, you're a woman who has to deal with a lot of because majority of these places you're gonna go be male dominated. Yeah. And I wonder if you didn't have to go through the bullshit a lot of people went through. Because listen, I know about a lot of the bullshit a lot of women had to go through in Boston. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? As far as studios, getting shows. Like right. I seen a lot of backdoor shit in my tenure. Which I thought was kind of, this is kind of tasteless. But I'm from Miami. I'm in Boston. I really couldn't say much because niggas didn't really trust me anyway because I was from out of town. Mm. And that's how Boston niggas is too, because I was connected with mad other niggas and so I wanted to know that how to, especially being in LA. And knowing that some of these are male-dominated spaces, how do you navigate through these spaces? And is there a buffer zone? Brandon has been a buffer zone to a lot of bullshit that's probably hadn't come your way. I want to talk this because I think this is important for women who are in these spaces to try to navigate themselves and to protect themselves.
Right. So I think this is a multi-part answer, but in terms of legal, as a black woman in law in Boston, I just was nervous. I felt like I was placing an unnecessary anxiety on myself, walking on eggshells in law firms and all this stuff, and feeling like people are seeing me a certain type of way. When I left my first firm, which is the best firm I worked at, because I felt like I was walking on eggshells, and like maybe they were gonna let me go. But when I put in my notice, they were like, "We're devastated to lose someone that was as good as you." And I'm like, I didn't even know that. I always have imposter syndrome. At my second firm, I helped build that firm up, and I continued to get offers for raises and promotions and things like that. So I think in Boston, the legal side, it's more so us not feeling like we fit in these predominantly white male spaces. And we just have to do away with that imposter syndrome. On the music side of things in Boston, one thing I will say is that I received adversity from women saying, how is she getting interviews with these big Boston artists? I've done interviews with Acrobatic. I've done interviews with people that had heavy momentum in Boston during one summer sweep. And girls putting my name out and saying she's sleeping with them. That's how she's getting these interviews, which is totally untrue. I'm a down-to-earth person. I have a wide network. So I think show up, you know what you're talking about, you really have a love for the music, and you have a brand that speaks for itself, it's a no-brainer. People are going to want to connect with you, especially artists, for exposure. I think in Boston, my biggest thing has been the fact that people know my brand in Boston, for sure. So when they're doing that interview on Lo-Fi Hip Hop, thought, okay, that's Salty's Radio. That's going to be a good show. Let's tune in. In terms of LA, it's been a little bit difficult connecting musically out here. I think people are always like, yeah, take down my information, but that's for them to gain an Instagram follower, or for them to, it's more for themselves. So that's been a little bit difficult on the music side. In the legal aspects of things out here, at my law firm, my biggest adversity has not even been with white males. It's been with the Latinos out here. There's a heavy Latino presence out here, and they try to other the Black people. And I hope nobody from my firm is in here, but I have a supervisor at my firm who they are, for lack of a better word, a little bit ghetto, but they're always trying to talk down on me as if they're this highly professional person and all that. And if you're intimidated by me because of the things that you saw on my resume and my experience, that's something that you have to deal with internally, but you're projecting it onto me, and that's not cool. So I think my biggest adversity has been with the Latino community out here for sure.
Wow. That's shocking to hear that. I thought you was gonna say niggas.
No, not even. I've been struggling to find a group of Black people. Like I don't know if you mind me mentioning it, Jordan, but Zakia, like she's been someone that I've been able to connect with, and she's been there for me at any time I need her. And she's like one of the only good Black friends that I have out here. Not gonna lie. So yeah.
And Sasha, I'll tell you this: if it wasn't for Zakia, this would have happened right here.
Right.
This interview.
Shout out to her.
Shout outs to the queen. Shout outs to the queen for letting her husband do this show with us. Shout out to the queen. Because you know what I'm saying, we know she pull the strings back there. Definitely. Our boy got a question for you online. She said, how do you differentiate between hip hop and law? And is there a correlation between the two?
So for me, it's very separate right now for me. I mean, I do lo-fi hip hop thought, I listen to my music, I connect with artists. I try to tap into entertainment any way I can out here. But really, for me in LA, it's been people like Zakia inviting me to these events and going out and meeting new people. In terms of the correlation between the two, that's been my biggest struggle, forming a union between those two. But my biggest milestone so far has been getting accepted into Loyola Law, which has a heavy dedication to entertainment law. So having access to those classes where I'm required to take experiential learning courses where I'm placed out in the field at an entertainment law firm to learn. So that has been the next step towards forming a union between the two. But the correlation for me will be representing these hip hop artists and negotiating contracts for them, not letting my clients get wrapped into 360 deals and things like that.
Talk about it.
So I
am going to talk about it. We're going to talk about that in a shortly. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I just said I want to protect Black artists. Like that's my main thing. I'm open to all artists, but I want to protect Black artists. Music is important, especially hip hop, for our community, and people don't understand the heavy influence that music has on us, unconsciously, consciously.
Big facts.
Yeah, you missing the 360 deal. Let's talk about that real quick. Why you say the 360 deal is dangerous?
Because of all the things that you don't have really any ownership after that, and it's important to negotiate your ownership in certain things like what your what's it called when you get money? I'm tripping over the word right now. Your advance. So like even your advance deals and like things that can be taken out of that. Like they can't charge you for certain recording costs and all this stuff. So you get your advance, but you still have to pay to make your album and things of that. So making sure that you secure a high value advance for yourself to not only cover your cost of living and your lifestyle to upkeep your branding, but to finish your album accordingly. So it's just all the restrictions within the 360 deal that don't allow you to have ownership after to continue to build wealth.
No, but ain't doing a three. Let's say, for example, if an upcoming artist want to get some form of notoriety, do you recommend them to do a 360 deal because they're gonna have some form of exposure? They're not out here to struggle to get any form of notoriety.
Well, it depends on the length of it, because there's other deals that you can make with a label to just do your marketing and things like that. Like what's his name? YBN Corday. He explained it like this. He said, "I'm in a partnership with my label. They don't own me. I have creative rights and all these things. So you can still carve out certain rights for yourself and ownership that help you post deals."
That's all, Your Honor. That's all. No, it's a question. That's what
you muted. How can you mute it?
What were you saying?
The question I can.
Oh yeah. There's we got a couple questions in the chat.
Right.
John asks, "Do you think there's the truth to the rap? Is it about race?" And another person asks, "You ask that do the artists really have little to no control?" No, hold on, that's not that. He says, "Have you ever copped with the way law is applied to whites versus blacks?"
Okay, I'll answer this first one right here. So, the truth to the rap police. I'm not too sure what the rap police are. I'm not gonna lie. If somebody wants to fill me in real quick, on what the rap police means. But I mean, do people police rap music? Sure, they do. I don't want to go too far off, so I'm not too sure what that question is. Do any of you guys know what that means? What's the rap?
No, there's like a task force. What do you mean by the rap police? There's a task force who antagonize and purposely target rappers and arrest them, try to find them with drugs, guns.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's why you got all these new artists getting arrested.
Yeah. And
I feel like the labels, they know I'm going to get my money while I can, because the younger artists, they're getting killed at a higher rate. Quando Rondo, I think, just killed in LA yesterday, last night.
Yeah,
it's Hollywood.
West Hollywood, yeah, in Los Angeles. Yep.
So the artists they know that these young artists, they're gonna get quick money because they're popping right now, and they're either gonna get locked up or they're gonna get killed. And you can see when labels aren't putting money behind their litigation, they're not defending them. Why are you not trying to get your artists out? Because you know you're still gonna get money off those streams, especially now that they're in the limelight from being arrested or being shot and all these things.
Wow, you make a good point there. I didn't even think about that in that aspect. That was a good point.
For sure.
There was another question too, I came right. You said it was another one. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
No, that was it. That was it.
Then there was
I was going to ask you, why do you think the rappers are getting killed at a higher rate? Because the number is just skyrocketing. I think last year it was up triple. Now it's up like quadruple for this year alone.
What I think it is I think people, for one example, a big example, Nipsey, they want to stay in their community, but they don't understand that when you attain a certain level of success, you have to separate from your community, because people are going to get jealous. Niggas going to get jealous of you. And then you become a target in your own community. Everybody wants to stay, close to their hood or whatever, but in order for you to develop your hood and create more access, you got to get away from it, because you might succumb to the violence of your hood and the things that you rap about. If you're really about what you rap about, you got enemies in your hood, so you can't be there.
No, you're right.
But my thing is, the hood made me. Nobody want to know who I was until the hood made me. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I was saying. I kind of get that concept of staying in the hood. Like, for example, Kodak Black. He go to this hood, I think every other weekend. He's over there and popping on beach. Like, he's always over there. People even say they see him, literally see him go to the same corner store for like over 20 years. So I want to say, so how can they relate to their parents? Because they came from that hood.
It's called survivor's guilt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, keep going.
No, I also want to add is, LA is very, very different because, it's Crips and Bloods out here. So since LA's so big, there's different type of section and all that type of stuff. So it's kind of different from other rappers. Well, of course, Nipsey, he has like the Rolling 60. They have a certain block, and there's another Crips like in Inglewood or Compton, all that type of stuff. So it's a little bit. I would say it's a little bit different here in LA. But go ahead.
No, I think it is. There is a little more of a gang aspect in LA, but in other cities too, like Chicago, there's a heavy gang aspect out there. In cities like Miami too. I mean, look at what's his name, Triple X. So there definitely is heavy gang activity in a lot of these major cities where these artists are coming from, and that is something that they have to think about. You have to separate from it. You can still connect with your fans through your lyrics and stuff, through the landmarks that you mentioned. Only people from Boston is gonna know the McDonald's on Mass Ave or all the Fiends be like.
Oh my!
You can say that in your music.
So she did, and I want to say it too. Do you think rap music is dead? Because right now they're saying not a lot of people rapping anymore. You see a lot of people getting murdered. Records ain't really selling. It's hard for now for artists to even go platinum. So do you think the rap music is dead?
I don't think it's dead. I think we got to get back to our roots. Like Griselda is setting an example right now. I can't stress it enough. I love Benny and Conway. The way they rap is very, it's homey. Like it helps them connect to their Buffalo fans. It helps them connect to their boom bap rap fans. And
don't forget 38 Special, Shay Noor.
Yes,
don't forget them now.
Listen, yes, all them. Even he's escaping my mind right now. Rock Marciano. I love these rappers. They really are. They're staying true to the boom bap rap, the rap origins. Currency, Larry June,
Bodie James.
Exactly, Don Kennedy, to name some LA rappers. Like these rappers are really sticking to the true history of rap and really where we're coming from, and we have to be promoting more of that. A lot of these, these mainstream mumble rappers or whatever, and there's a lane for everybody.
Yeah.
And I enjoy some mumble rap too, so there's a lane for everybody, but we gotta hold in higher regard the Griseldas, the Benny the Butchers, and those rappers.
Jay, I got a question for you. You seem like a very driven person. You have a lot of things going on. I love. Yes. See, you're from the bean, so I know you're a hustler. You hustling. Mm-hmm. How do you balance all of this with your personal life? Because I know a lot of this is time consuming, and I don't think a lot of people could understand the position you're in, divulging a lot of this time. Certain things are gonna have to take a back seat. So how do you balance your personal life, and how do people in your personal life understand where you're coming from doing what you're doing?
I think to be with me, you have to understand that I have a lot of things going on, and I have, my hands in a lot of things. I've definitely had partners in the past who said, what are you doing this radio thing for? Like, where are you going with it? Because you spend a lot of your time with your team, and you spend a lot of your time in the studio. Every Thursday, you going live and all this. So, you have to have a partner who understands your life trajectory. And that's something that when I first start dating people, I haven't had a first date in 2 years, but when I first start dating people, I let them know what's going on with me. So thankfully, Brandon's very supportive. I have a great partner who's he sees me getting overwhelmed, and he will take care of everything else outside of that so that I can focus on the things that I need to take care of. So it's really about time management. And I carve out, I had a professor in Louisiana who's the district attorney. He had his own private practice. He was a father, and he was my professor. And I asked him, how do you have the time to do everything? He said, I have a heavily detailed time management schedule. When I don't get to something, I prioritize and I say, okay, maybe I can squeeze something in this area, and then I reschedule it for the next day. So it's about having a good schedule, and that's something I have set on my calendar for today, is to set my time management schedule for the week. I start classes on Monday, and I work full time. So.
And I was going to ask you too, at the end of the day, who inspires you to make you get up in the morning and do what you do?
My family. I'm trying to create generational wealth. Black families.
Preach.
Preach.
My God.
My parents are laborers who worked hard to put their children into the next class. My mother has been working for the gas company in Massachusetts for over 25 years. She's in a supervisory role now, one of the only Black people in the supervisory role, a director role. And my father has owned his own business since I was born. So they worked hard, saved money, put us in the next class, moved us to the suburbs. That's why I say people in here that know me are like, she don't live in Boston. So they moved us to Holbrook. And they just showed us what different opportunities there are. So that is really what motivates me. I have a little sister. I have 7 nephews.
Are you a Metco kid?
I'm a Metco kid also, and I advocated for Metco funding when I was in high school. So I went to the State House and I lobbied with all my peers for Metco funding. And there was a man there, a former Metco student, who lobbied against us. And at the time I was heated because I really appreciate being given the opportunity to go to school in Westwood, in a very affluent community where my school was built for over $10 million. And I know people in Boston that went to inner city schools that just didn't have the education that I had. And what I realized from this man in retrospect is that we need to stop putting money into MECO and start building up Boston public schools, which is very true. But we, little by little, we have to reallocate funds. We can't do it all at once. We have to little by little do that. So, yeah, I'm a MECO kid. I'm very proud and happy to be afforded that opportunity.
Hey, niggas in the comments say I know too much. They say, listen, I was in Boston when we were still jingling coins down the machines to get on Mass Ave and Andrews. I don't, you know what I'm saying?
It was 3/4.
3/4. You know how many times I done got, I done been in handcuffs at the corner mall. Harry the Greeks, Tony, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like expressions. Like, I'm a Florida nigga, but I'm born and breed Boston, all in me. Don't make me pull out my flight jacket. Listen, I still got a North Face in the closet wrapped in plastic.
You don't need it no more.
Yeah, I don't need it no more. That, and I gave away a Canadian goose. Only real Boston niggas know what that is.
Exactly.
So, so that's wonderful.
Okay, I got one last question for you. Where do you see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, I was
3 to 5 years. Something that you guys don't know about me, that's heavily in the works right now, is I'm a part of the social equity program in Boston. So I'm the CEO of a cannabis delivery business. So if that goes as planned, I see myself, working in my own practice and building my own music studio space. I don't know if you guys have ever been to Chicago. The Garage in Chicago was a really inspirational space for me when I visited there. So it's a big warehouse studio where you can rent monthly studios. You can rent studios daily. They have an event space in there. They have a mini guitar center in there. So I want to own a space equivalent to that. And that also doubles as a artist live workspace. And then I just want to run my whole entertainment and legal operation out of that space. So that is my 5-year plan, to be there within 5 years.
So I got 3 questions. So you're gonna move back to Boston? Is that your plan? Yeah.
No. So I want to stay in LA. With my I have a couple homegirls out here, and every time we go somewhere and we're posting pictures, I'm like, we in Los Angeles right now. So I'm trying to create the Los Angeles vibe.
Okay.
There's a lot of people from Boston in LA.
Okay. Now there's some questions that I don't want to forget them guys. John Smith asked you 2 questions.
What did he say?
He said, is your goal judgeship, or how do you feel about the way law is applied to blacks versus whites?
I think to that last question you just said, the black versus white question, I think there is a heavy need for equity in the legal system. And I'm a part of trying to change that, because we need more black lawyers. A lot of people don't want to go to law school. It is a lot of work. I'm not going to cap. The first year I cried a lot my first year. I still get stressed every day. I'm excited to start school, and I was happy to get into Loyola, but I'm stressed about these classes I'm about to start taking. So it is stressful, but it's very rewarding to get. Last semester I got straight A's. That's the first time I ever did that, and I did that in law school. Like, I'm so proud of myself. And with its high cost, it's a high reward. Law.
It is true. Preach it.
To think one day that I'm gonna walk across that stage and I'm gonna pass the bar, and then I'm gonna be Fonzie Strickland Esquire, that's fire. So I think there's an inequity in the legal system, and that we have to do our part to get involved and to become represented in that space. Because someone that looks like you is gonna take care of you more than someone that doesn't look like you. Not to say they're not gonna do their best, because they want to get their money and they have a legal obligation, but I care a lot about people that look like me. That's really why I do this. So creating equity means getting into those spaces. And moving into the next question, the judgeship, my goal is to sit on the bench at some point. But I do know, my social media presence and footprint is always going to be there. So fingers crossed that I can get to that point.
Yeah.
I'm not as squeaky clean as Kintaji, but I do want to sit on the bench. I do.
So, of course, no, go ahead.
No, shout out Judge Shannon Friesen. She is a Superior Court judge in Boston. She's a Black woman, and she just made history with that. She's dope, and she's tatted up, and she wears her jewels, and I love her. So she's my shero, my goal.
You ever heard of Judge Singleton?
Judge Singleton, where are they out of?
He used to be a court judge out of Cambridge. He went to BB&M.
Okay, it sounds familiar. I'm gonna look into that after this for sure.
There's another question here. John Smith.
John Smith, is the war on drugs outdated?
Absolutely not. There's a war in our community every day. And Nipsey said it best. We gotta change the way we're moving because they got us beat with technology. They got you beat with the technology. You walk out the house with your phone, it pings off the tower. They got your location. So, and I mean, some people know that. They'll leave their phone home, do their thing, but they got you beat with the technology. That 7981 Cal case in Massachusetts, that RICO case where all these rappers got swept up in it.
Woo!
They got all the information from iMessages. Meet me at
those were Cape Verdean niggas.
Yeah, the Cape Verdeans from Brockton.
Yeah, those were Cape Verdean niggas they snatched them. They wasn't regular Hispanic boys.
Yeah, there was Cape
Those were Capo Verde, Abriga. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, they got us beat with the technology. So the war on drugs is in full effect, and they're trying to get you, especially. And then you asked about that rap police. They're especially trying to get the rappers caught up in drug cases because you rapping about it, so they're listening, they're watching, they're trying to see what you're doing, and then people are falling right into the trap. If you're rapping and you got a deal, or even if you're independent and you're getting money, stop the drug shit. You got to stop because they're watching you, and they're watching all your money. So when people like Herb, they're getting jets and stuff, and they're running this $45,000 back. Where'd they get the $45,000 for this jet? Now you got Herb getting caught up with Boston niggas on jet frauds, getting jets. So yeah, artists they have to watch out. And this is something that I definitely will offer to my artists. Like this knowledge about how to move. I had a seminar that I went to recently. I'm a part of the entertainment law cohort in LA for HBCU students. And Chris Paul was there. And is it Chris Paul's the manager of LeBron James, right?
Yes.
Yes. So he was there. And he said before he got so big that what he would do is he would have his players live with him. So he could see how they move, and he see, you leaving toothpaste in the sink. Let me show you why that's not good, and let me show you how to move differently. He would see how they're leaving cups out and stuff like that, and he would just teach them how to move differently and be better. Rich Paul, yes. He would teach them how to move differently. Chris Paul was there also though, but he would live with them so he could see their habits, so he could help them develop themselves professionally as ball players and as just individuals. And I think that's something that I'm going to offer to my artists as well. Let's go rent a house. Let's live together so I can see how you move. Because you're not going to be my artist out here getting arrested like Bobby Shmurda. So.
No, but John Smith, that was my final question. Of course, how can the people find you? How can they contact you? Any social media outlet, YouTube, Twitter? Go ahead. Do your thing.
So on Instagram, I'm at Efftrackfiend, like where it says interview with. And for my business page, it's also linked there. It's at the O in thought is a 0 because Instagram does not like that type of language. So lo-fi hip hop TH0T. And then professional wise, I'm on LinkedIn, so I'm T Strickland, and yeah, those are my main platforms that I use.
Yeah, guys. So, man, it was lovely to have you on the show. I thank Jordan and his lovely wife to bring you on here. I'm not gonna lie, I learned a lot. I love learning from a Black woman. You know, we speak highly of Black women over here. You know, you made me smile. I don't like smiling a lot. So
listen, Miss Strickland.
Yes.
I'm just trying to hold back the tears.
The tears?
I'm just trying to hold back the tears because you from the bean, baby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You from the bean, that's it. You know what I mean? So to hear you speak and to hear you how dedicated you are and how passionate you are, and this is why it's important. We got to support our Black women. You know, they say once you support the woman, she's going to uplift the community.
Facts.
So, You know, it is an honor and it's a pleasure. You know what I mean, to meet a woman like you who is so dedicated, and you know what I mean. I just want to see you at the top. That's it.
For sure.
And I personally want to thank you so much for coming up. I know you're very busy with your schedule and everything, and just to come in and help us learn about some new things about your rap, and also better your career. So I really appreciate you coming up.
Right, thank you guys. And also, everybody be on the lookout. I'm multifaceted, and I'm about to drop a single very soon too.
Oh yeah, when
you drop it, you could come back on the show and we can review it together.
Hey, listen. We might have to listen. We might have to book you a show at the Middle East.
Yeah.
Book you a show at the Middle East or Phoenix Landing, even one of them.
Exactly. One of those venues for sure. All the Greeks start there.
Or the Dublin House.
Not the Dublin. Don't try to Dublin me. But that's an option too. I love the Roxbury community too. But yes, I'm.
Yeah, but we excited. You see, we got excited. We waiting for you to drop that record. You get what I'm saying?
We are.
And I'll share my rap battle link with y'all for sure.
No.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, but guys, like, not only that, but I want to get a special shout out to all my exes, the pretty exes out there. A special shout out to my exes. You know what I'm saying? They be tuning in and watching me hot games, so we gotta give them a shout out.
Shout out.
They're like,
yeah, you're right. Hey, there's one last question I want to ask you because we didn't ask you. What female rap artists are you like? Do you give props to?
Okay, so I'm happy you asked that.
Yeah.
This is my favorite female rapper. God rest her soul. She died in 2020. She overdosed. She was battling opioid addiction. And
Sorry to hear that.
What's her name?
Her name is China Rogers. She was down with ASAP Mob in the beginning, and I believe she's the ex of ASAP Yam. So I think they were both battling drug addiction, and she passed away over an opioid overdose. But she's one of my favorite rappers. She's out of Philly. She's an emo rapper. That's kind of my rap style. I love emo rap, and So China Rogers, and who else? Bia, obviously, Boston, Massachusetts, Medford.
I'm at the party. I'm at the gun. That's my joint.
Man, I keep you everywhere, man. You like an open dictionary, man. You gotta be kind of jealous, man.
Listen. I know who Nice Franklin is. I forgot the other dude. I remember they used to tell me about her. Oh, we got this chick we rocking with. You know what I mean? They was in her first couple videos when she came out. Her manager's family. He's signed with Star Trek. A lot of people don't know about that. This is something I was in a mix with hearing niggas. I used to run the streets in Boston. I bump into these niggas. And niggas like, yeah, we got this chick, we doing this. Even Millie's. Me and Millie's was in college classes together. But not only that, I used to see him in the streets. Mm-hmm. He's from Cambridge. I'm from Cambridge. He's from the other side. He's from the coast. I'm from the port. I'm from Washington Elms Project.
Huh?
I
didn't even know y'all had hoods in Cambridge.
We did that hood, and we was beefing.
I'm done.
Yeah, we was beefing. Like, and I know who his boss man is, so that's how I know so much. I spent almost 12 years in Boston. My degree is from. Listen, I graduated from Bunker Hill Community College, and I went to Salem State. Niggas not playing with me.
Okay.
Niggas not playing with me, and my knife game is serious. Mm-hmm. And my knife and my razor blade game is serious. I got that from Boston.
I'm done.
Threes and trees. I got that from Boston. Not playing with me.
I'm done.
Yeah, they're not playing with me. Top 10s all day. Niggas is not playing with me.
Then I have a question. You know Bakari JB? You know Bakari?
Yes, I've heard of him, but I don't know him personally. Okay. I heard of Bakari. I know Michael Christmas. Yeah. I know niggas who deal with Cousin Stiz. Mm-hmm. I'm my best friend's cousin. I don't know if he shoots for Cousin Stiz. He's like a fashion designer, but he has a little cousin that's there with them, and he's out in California.
Oh wow.
And stuff like that. I remember, you know what I mean?
You know, us.
Yeah. So listen. Funny enough, you might know somebody who knows me.
I probably know a couple people that know you. Boston's this big.
Yeah, terminology. A lot of these people, when you said acrobatic Acrobatic used to come to do shows with niggas. I met him. He's a real humble guy.
Real humble.
Esoteric.
Yeah.
I can name many names. Huh?
Terminology too.
Terminology. Yeah. Terminology. He's from Lawrence, Massachusetts. Lucky Dice. I don't know if you never heard of him.
Yesterday they did a tournament where they also cipher. It's called Hoop Hop 617. Definitely tap into that too. They have one every year, but they do that show to promote music and connecting creatives in the community. So it's a basketball tournament, but you can only play if you're musically inclined.
Okay, no, definitely. So I was engulfed in this music game in the Bean. It taught me a lot, but what you're trying to do is only going to make it better, because I used to be downtown Boston hustling my CDs and never got nowhere. 88, you see what I'm saying? And you remember Emerson had the radio station, not jamming 94. They was not playing niggas music.
No,
and the only person who was playing niggas music was Emerson until after that shut down, and a lot of them niggas went down south to Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? Like most Boston people, when they get into their bag, they'll get up and start moving out of state.
Wow.
Yep, exactly. They move to different areas so that they can. And I feel like one other thing I want to say about Boston is like we do have this crabs in a bucket mentality, and it's because of the lack of separation away from these people. So when someone's only 1 degree of separation from you, and they see you on Instagram, you got a heavy following and all this. They're like, "Oh, I seen her the other day walking to the corner store," and they think she this big person on Instagram. But come on, support her, because she has a fan base that she's cultivating. Why are you trying to bring her down?
And you're 100% right. And this is why Boston people don't finish what they started. There's many artists who just stop rapping. Who just stopped rapping, who stopped doing. I can name tons of female from that era who you probably never heard of because they stopped rapping after a while. Pretty Poison, Miss Aquarius. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a number of these girls who was getting deals and there was no outlet for them. You know what I'm saying? There was no outlet for a lot of us. And let's be real about something. I don't want to say it's not a race thing, but race thing does play a factor into a lot of this stuff. If you're in a place where it was most dominantly by white folks, white people controlled everything in Boston. Let's get it straight. The reason why you can't get a show in Boston, because if it wasn't co-signed by a white boy, you're not getting a show. And when they did have shows, you had to go all the way to Rhode Island, all the way to New Hampshire. Do I need to keep going?
So I understand the gripe with Leeds Edutainment. I understand the gripe. It's white owned, and Ned is a gatekeeper. And yeah.
He was doing a lot of whole shit when we was coming up. He was telling niggas could perform. He was telling niggas to sell tickets, sell 50 tickets. We'll get you on. We would sell the tickets, and then they'll give us the 2-minute slot time. And then it was like we wasn't going nowhere. So it was like, why you think you have a city full of old rappers? JV the rap singer, L the head toucher. It's a lot of these dudes. Come on, man.
Exactly, and that's what I'm trying to do. Be that lawyer from Boston that also has an entertainment company that can help you build a brand and get yourself out of that box for sure.
So that's my rant for the day.
No, but I'm not gonna lie, man. These stories can keep us on here for hours, but we gotta let the queen get her rest. You know, we had her for like an hour, which we do appreciate her time. And we also appreciate everybody that tuned in, of course, man, each and every Sunday. You know, shout out to you guys. You guys are awesome. You guys are great. Man, the questions keep coming, even though the show is about to end. And all of that, but, you know, rest in power. Dorothy Lee Baker, man, she's like the grandma of the community, man. She done gone home to heaven to be with all the other greats. So, you know, she rests in power. Shout out to her as well. You know, shout out to you, of course, Queen, for being on the show. You know how we get down each and every Sunday. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell on the right-hand side, because you never know when we might go online. You don't want to miss out, man. Thank you for tuning in to KR Culture Radio. We over and out. Peace.